out! Welcome to Get Fact.
Hello.
Good afternoon.
How are you?
I'm alright.
Yeah,
Good.
Good. What have you been up to lately?
Working.
Same.
Yeah.
That's life, innit?
That's it.
Go along working just to get through the day.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll jump in it anyway. Did you see about that ghost ship that resurfaced after being lost at sea for 9 years?
Ghost ship?
Ghost ship, yeah.
No?
Well, obviously it's a ghost ship because he disappeared, didn't it, 9 years ago, and it's just resurfaced and washed up on shore.
No, but my definition of a ghost ship is it's like ghosts.
Like a sea-free ship.
It passes through things and you can see through it.
Like Black Sparrow.
Is that what they're on about, or is it like a physical ship?
No, a physical ship, like a Pirates of the Caribbean. So I think they're calling it a ghost ship because, like, obviously it disappeared, vanished, and it's just reappeared. Well, that's the definition of a ghost, isn't it? Something that vanishes, comes back.
I guess so.
I don't know, because if you get kidnapped, and then
That's what I mean, yeah.
and then so you come back 10 years later,
10 or 15 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I suppose.
So what kind of ship are we talking about? Like an old pirate ship, or
this was like a massive fishing ship, I think it was.
So where did it disappear? And when? And how?
I'll search it. The quick ghost ship reappeared. It just says ghost ship appears 9 years after it was lost. A ship believed to have been lost in the high sea 9 years ago suddenly ran aground last week mysteriously. Like, it's not exactly a small ship.
So it's like a tanker then, big tanker, yeah.
Ship. So it couldn't have sunk because the Titanic sunk and that stayed there.
Yeah.
So it's
just been left floating then, hasn't it?
It's floating.
Yeah.
Well, where's the people that was on it? They died.
Well, maybe they took this lifeboats.
Why? What did? Too many questions for that. It's like, why did they leave the ship if it weren't sinking? Did it just run out of fuel? If so, why not just float and wait for someone come along?
Well,
is that your answer?
That's my answer.
You're allergic to the bullshit.
No, maybe it's got something to do with, I don't know, aliens.
Yeah. That which leads on to the subject of our guest.
So that's why I threw that in there.
Our guest today is Ryan Stacey. He'll be on later to talk about all things UFO and ghosts. That should be interesting. The ship last seen of Taiwan coast was flying an Indonesian flag. Can you say that then? The ship named Samratulangi PB 1600 suddenly reappeared south of Myanmar. Are they taking a minute with these names? Trying to make me struggle.
Well, that's
in the Indian Ocean.
Just for you.
Yeah? Why did I search this? The ship could have drifted away from the shipwrecking site in Chittagong, Bangladesh.
It'd be easy for you to say the ship
disappeared,
called Dave,
and came back. That'd be it. End of.
And it landed in France.
Yeah. I wonder if it went if it drifted through Bermuda Triangle.
Maybe.
And came back.
Maybe.
I'd love to know a bit about Bermuda Triangle. Let's.
Well, we'll have to ask our guest.
See if Ryan Stacey knows anything about it. So, have you heard about the most horrific types of medieval torture?
I've heard of one or two.
Well, go on then. What's one or two?
One of them, which is probably the most common. Well, two actually. You've got the Iron Maiden.
The Iron Maiden, yeah.
Which is like a sort of not like a thing that you put people into, and has spikes, and you close the door. Oh
yeah.
That's the.
They also heated that up a bit, didn't they, so that you moved around a lot.
I believe so.
Yeah. So you're spiking yourself all the time.
And then you got the rack.
Yeah. What's that one?
Which where you bound your hand and feet to like a pulley, ropes on a pulley system.
Yeah, and stretcher.
And you stretch it out.
Yeah.
But like, I think as well, there were variations on that, with one where somebody pushed up on your back as well. So
right.
you arched over as they're pulling you.
Christ.
And there was another one where you'd sit.
That'd probably fix your back these days. Everyone's leaving.
It'd probably fix my back, to be honest with you. And there was another one. They sit you in a chair, behind your head, so you can't move, and push like a screw, a lump of, well, it would have been wood in those days, into the back of your neck to.
Oh yeah, I've seen that one.
Break a
I've
vertebrae.
not actually seen it. I weren't medieval, but I've heard of it.
To break that piece of vertebrae in your neck.
Yeah, I wonder if them two are on this list I've got.
Don't know.
I've got two. I've not gone through this list myself, but I've got two that I know of.
There's 3 off me anyway.
Is there? Oh yeah, 3. There's the brazen bull. I think I've spoke about that one. It's literally a cast iron bull, big enough to hold a human. They put the human inside it, and there's like a horn that swirls around, and it's like leads to the mouth of the bull.
Okay.
And underneath, they start cooking like a fire, so that the person's burning inside, but the noise is coming through a horn. So it sounds like the cow going.
Oh, like the old sort of kettles that whistle when the boils.
yeah, but it's a person screaming in pain,
right?
And it sounds like a bull.
Wow.
A brazen bull.
Ooh.
And it is a torture treatment.
So that's where the phrase, that's a bit brazen. She's a bit brazen, isn't she? Or he's a bit brazen.
Maybe you might be on something there. But there's also the one that I think it might have been in Thailand, where they used to tie you to a bamboo shoot, and then they planted a bamboo underneath you, and because it grows so quick, I think it can grow within 24 hours, a bamboo, a tree. So it just goes, starts growing, it goes up your anus, and just keeps growing until it spears straight through you.
Ow.
I know, it's slowly growing through you.
No way.
Yeah, a horrible torture that is.
There's some horrible things out there.
Yeah, who thought of that?
I know.
I guarantee that was some freak that was like into kinky stuff. Oh no, it's coming. Anyway, moving on to the so we've got flaying is number 1. This is the worst torture.
Flaying, is that whipping?
A
form of
ancient
whipping?
technique that most popular in the Middle Eastern. In the Middle Ages, it was frequently used to torture and execute criminals, captured soldiers, and those accused of witchcraft. Usually, the victim was tied to a pole in a public square, and using a small knife, the torturer would methodically remove strips of the tortured skin, peeling back sections to reveal musculature beneath. Eee, that's horrible, isn't it?
Ooh.
There's even more to that though. It says the slow process often began at the victim's face and proceeded downwards to their feet. Why'd you start at the face? It feels like the wrong way around that. It feels like the face would be the most painful.
Well, yes.
So I feel like you want to build up the pain. Well, this isn't me like I'm some kind of torturer.
Maybe you were in a past life.
Do you know what I mean? Because if you start big, the rest ain't going to hurt as much.
Well, yeah.
You want to build up the pain.
Maybe
it's not.
Maybe that was you in a past life.
Yeah, well, I would have done it right. The breast ripper. Jesus.
I've got a vague idea what that's about.
Have a guess what that one is?
Ripping breasts off women.
Yeah, I'm guessing. Used the breast ripper primarily to inflict pain upon women. The claws were often heated up before being attached to the victim's exposed breasts. Women were strapped to a table or a wall while the torturer pulled the device away. Again, that sounds like something that people have for a kink these days. Maybe that's passed on.
Maybe it is. Maybe we've just sort of diluted it a bit so that they're not so vicious.
Yeah.
But,
But it's something like people like being hung up on hooks and that, aren't they? As a kink.
Yeah.
And I wonder if that's based in like past lives where it used to be medieval to like hang people up by hooks and that.
It could be. Obviously, the actual act of torturing someone, I think certainly has been diluted for sexual experience.
Right. I've come across the one that you mentioned. It's the spike tube. It's called the crocodile tube.
Oh, right, okay.
And you put you in a tube of spikes.
Let's have a look.
And then heat it up. That's just the front of it.
Oh no, I wasn't thinking of that.
See, I automatically thought I was a kink again for something else.
It probably is. If it's, I mean, that's probably an original from those times, but they've probably diluted that.
Spike-filled cylinder just big enough for the body, with the head and feet exposed on either end. The tube was then shut, leaving the victim totally immobilised and impaled on spikes. And then they'd start a small fire burning the beneath so that they moved around. That isn't nice, is it?
Not really.
Here's the one I was on about, the brazen bull.
Oh, there you go.
So I don't need to explain that one because I just explained it. So in 5th place, the Judas Cradle.
Let's have a look.
That looks like a pointy stool that you sit on. What is that?
I think that's what it is.
Do you reckon?
Yeah.
Jesus.
You sit on it.
You sit on it for hours.
Yeah.
Oh, that'd be well sore, don't it?
Yeah.
I get a numb bum on a flat wall.
I get numb sat here doing these shows.
No, yeah, Adele's chair's not comfy enough. Right.
I have to sit like I'm quite camp the way I'm sat. But it's comfy.
Yeah. The Judas Cradle was a torture device where the victim would be placed on top of a wooden pyramid with the triangular end inserted into the victim's anus or vagina. Arms and feet were tied or weighted in order to ensure maximum pain as gravity slowly pulled the victim downwards.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I've heard of that one.
That's kind of like the bamboo one now, isn't it?
Yeah, yeah.
He slowly just impales you, doesn't it?
Well, there's a lot of similarities between different cultures
There is, yeah.
with certain tortures.
And why is it always anus?
Well, yeah.
What is wrong with that? Stop sticking things up bums.
But now we know where we get it from.
Impaling, up the bum again.
There we go again.
And then the Spanish donkey.
Ooh.
What do you think this one is?
I don't know. No doubt it's got something to do with sticking up somebody's bum.
Come on, let's read it, because it'd be funny if it was now. The Spanish donkey followed a similar principle as the Judas Cradle. Letting gravity do most of the work, victims, almost always women, were seated astride the apertus, a vertical wood board with an inverted V-shaped wedge on it. Weights were attached to their feet, placing the combined pressure in one sharp point to create a sensation like being split down the middle.
Well,
do you imagine if all this was around now? Now we just got you getting locked up, or in some cases in bad countries you'll get your head chopped off. But
well, yeah.
even that's not torture, is it? Getting your head chopped off, that's
no,
quick.
because it's just over and done with, isn't it?
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's what I was on about the Iron Maiden, which is like something you'd find a mummy in it.
Oh yeah.
But you get put inside.
Do you know what that reminds me of? Have you watched Matilda? That room in Matilda.
Yes.
It sends the kids in.
Yes.
Spiked room.
Yes.
Yeah. I wonder if that's where the idea is from.
That's probably where the idea is from. Yeah.
It's very similar. I'll go one more because I'm getting a bit freaked out by these.
You're not. You're loving it.
I know. The Heretics Fork.
Heretics.
Yeah, that's the one. Got that. What is it, Stu?
The Heretics.
Yeah, the Heretics Fork. It is. The instrument consisted of 2 forks set aside to end and strapped around the victim's neck. The tines of the fork penetrated the flesh under the chin at one end and the upper sternum on the other end, where the hands behind their backs victims were made to kneel or stand upright. This forced any liars or blasphemers subjected to the punishment to strain to keep their chin elevated.
You're going to strain anyway.
I know. You're not lying, no. You just it's sore. It's under my chin.
Yeah, I know.
What type of torture is that? Who comes up with them?
God,
it's weirdos.
Well, it always makes me laugh with things like witches. You had the Witchfinder General,
yeah,
whenever it was, and he went round and claimed that he could find witches, and he would torture them by dunking them in water, and if they came up alive, then you were a witch.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody actually survived.
Well, if you came up, you're dead anyway.
Well, yeah.
And yeah, so it's a dead situation.
No, I mean, if they came up and they were still alive and they hadn't drowned, then they were proven to be witches. But I don't think anybody actually came up.
But that's what I'm saying. So if you drown, you're dead. If you come up, you're dead because you're a witch and they kill you.
Well, no, you're dead anyway.
That's what I mean. What do you mean?
No, what they dunk the women into the water and leave them under there.
Yeah.
So they drown. Then you bring them back up, so they're obviously dead.
Yeah.
It's obviously not a witch. So
I thought it was that to attach weights to you or whatever, they put you in the water. If you stayed down the bottom or whatever, you was human and you just died. But if you came back up and floated or whatever to the top and you're still alive, then you're seen as a witch and they killed you.
Yeah, they weighted you down, but I don't think anybody actually ever survived.
No, it was just
an easy way for him to murder women because he hated women, basically.
To make it okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or how do we know that he's not a witch or a warlock and trying to get rid of the human race?
Yeah, maybe.
There you go.
Could have been. Could have been a little twist there. Anyway, our guest is coming up in a minute, so we'll cut this now and we'll be back in a minute.
With ChatGPT news?
We'll do that after it. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Hey, cue the music anyway.
Cue the music. So, how are you today?
Oh, not too bad. How are you?
Yeah, we're great.
Where are you guys?
England.
Liverpool.
So, what is it that you do exactly?
So I am a private investigator. I own and operate my own private investigating company and security company here in Canada. So I'm in Ontario. Pleased to hear you guys are in England, sharing that commonwealth. So I usually do a lot of American podcasts, which is usually hard. I fell into this phenomenon because of crime element that's there in terms of charlatans and frauds, and there was some theft going on in terms of the beginning, and then I kind of got dragged into MUFON, and then I was so MUFON's the Mutual UFO Network, and I was the National Chief Investigator of Canada before I left in 2018-19.
Right.
Then I created an organization called the Experiencer Support Association, which was based on supporting those who are affected by the phenomenon, whether it be through mental health support or debunking, which is what I do in terms of validating what's actual fact versus fiction, while also leaving them like a safe place to share their opinions and their beliefs, because who knows, right?
Yeah.
Anything could be possible, but it's just trying to get to that wise mind, psychology. So that's me in a nutshell. I don't know if.
So, which do you prefer doing, like ghost related stuff or alien related stuff?
Well, I think it's all connected.
Right.
Oh, okay.
So, I'd like to hear this then. Like, are we connecting the two?
Yeah, we can. I'm just a little confused. Is this a pre-interview? Are we going to record anything, or I'm just trying to understand the format here.
Yeah, it's recording now.
Oh, it is recording.
Yeah.
Okay, I didn't know. I haven't used Google Meets in ever, so I didn't realize that it was recording.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, I created what I'm calling the ultra spectrum classification system, which is a what I'm calling an advanced version of the Hynek Valet classification scale, for those who are familiar with his measurement for UFOs, or their measurement for UFOs. So in doing so, I was trying to figure out a way to categorize both the UFO phenomenon and the paranormal phenomenon, while accepting cryptids as well, and possible other like crop circles and whatever, try to compile it all. In terms of the phenomenon, there are a lot of labels that are attached to these events, and certain cliques and certain fads and certain trends kind of add these labels, and then kind of it confuses everybody and muddies the water. So an example would be like a UFO and a UAP. Right. They're trying to discern the difference, but it technically, it's the same thing. Yeah. But it's still confusing because one's unidentified flying object, unidentified whatever version of that UAP you want to use, aerial phenomenon or anomalous phenomenon, whatever they're saying now. It's still in that wheelhouse. I call it aerial activity. Right. And the subcategory for that, again, I haven't looked at this chart in a while, would be either a light or a machine. So if it's a machine, then that's what I'm going to look for, because there's certain characteristics that would make it a machine. Yeah. And if you want to call it a UFO, you want to call it a UAP, you want to call it military black ops project, you can put your label on it. But in terms of investigation, that label has to be removed. So for a light, I would consider that to be, any of the orbed type phenomenon that's there, but those lights could also be machines.
Yeah.
lights attached to machines, so they kind of go together. So when you combine them, it's aerial activity. It's just something that's happening in the air. That's what's common. And with the paranormal orb phenomenon, where they see, what they consider to be spirit or life source, that fits in this category because it's in the air and it's a phenomenon and it's activity. So that kind of gets me more data compiled into a group where I'm looking at things in the sky.
Okay.
Right? And then once I'm determining that, because this orb could be a light, this light could be an orb, both of them could be attached to a machine. Whereas the old MUFON way is just nuts and bolts, it's always a machine, it's always this. None of this woo kind of stuff was able to be applied to it. And yet, for me as an investigator, those are leads that aren't being followed, and so I'll try to compile that. So another example in that, in the ultraspectrum classification system, I would say would be maybe beings observed. So that would be the subgroup, and then the subcategories for that. What might be, I think it's bipedal. No, that's for cryptids. Yeah, I can't remember. I haven't looked at my scale in a while. But anyways, I break it all down to the point so it's at its root. So like Bigfoot, for an example, that's a label applied to a creature that could be a paracryptid, which is like a not normal being biologically, or a cryptid, but it's biologically an ape species, right? So we're looking for the presence of an ape in this area, and not necessarily looking for Bigfoot. But if we find this ape or this creature in general, this being was observed, and then we're going to be able to, it'd be easier to find something, if that makes sense. If we start looking for out in space when we can't get out there, most of us anyways, we're not going to find it. We got to find all the stuff like here. Yeah. So I'm trying to normalize it, bring it all down and condense it. And with the beings observed, Bigfoot could be a being, the gray aliens could be a being, reptilians could be a being, right? And what's in common is not necessarily the phenomenon itself, it's what the people have in common. So with the Experiencer Support Association, I don't study the phenomenon, I study the people who experience the phenomenon to see what they have in common with each other.
Right.
And a lot of them have this psychic ability that it appears to be a psychic ability that either is dormant, hasn't been used, or it hasn't been nurtured to the sense. And there seems to be this psychogenic activity, some activity with the mind, where it's interesting in terms of evidence because we don't know if they're seeing these beings or crafts in the three-dimensional world or the fourth or fifth dimension.
Right.
It's in their mind. It could be in their mind, but it also could be real. So trying to science that in such a way in terms of evidence to help showcase the possibility that we might be having these visions in our mind. Now that doesn't mean that it's not horrifying, it's not real, it's just that's where we're looking. And if that's where we're looking, it makes it hard to find, because how do we prove that? Right? When you get into parapsychology and all that other stuff, when they're studying the brain, we have all the evidence to support that it's possible for us to do that. Yeah. But is everybody seeing the same thing? Is it imagination? Is it coping? Yeah. They might be saying they might have been harmed by a family member in the past, and their choice of coping would be to believe that it was an extraterrestrial. Right. And they get no trauma, no trauma therapy or any support or anything like that. So those are things I have to look out for. So what I've done is I've created a really easy way, at least for me, to understand a very complex situation. And the common denominator, again, is the people. And people are, and what I'm trying to understand is why this person can see this person can't see that, or why is this person on this side of the world seeing this and this person on the other side of the world is seeing that as well. They may not be able to get pictures, but they can draw, and I compare, analogical evidence, from drawings, plus you have your testimonial evidence stacked in the case. You got people drawing similar things, but if they're not seeing it in this three-dimensional world and they're seeing it in their mind, what is that place? Which is what I call the ultraspectrum. which is the ether or the hive consciousness or whatever you want to call it. So that's just my term. And that ultra spectrum term is if you guys are familiar with John Keel's work, it would be just the next. So ufologist, paranormal investigator, coined the word super spectrum.
Yeah.
And so, which is talking along the same lines of what I'm doing, but the ultra spectrum would be the next level up, because I'm trying to take the work that he has done, as well as Hynek and Vallée, take that classification scale and basically bring over the paranormal community.
Yeah.
And try to get more evidence to support the case, because a medium who's able to sense spirit,
okay,
as the individual, that is a human being, but then you get other human beings that are seeing what appear to be gray aliens, but they're communicating telepathically.
Right.
Scientific, with the science, that's no different. It's a human being that is able to use their mind to communicate with some other form of existence.
Yeah.
And when we're investigating, and depending on how we were raised, some of us were, raised in the UFO community, some of us raised in the paranormal community, some of us were raised in the church, which still is UFO and paranormal if you dive deep into that. But there's different types of beliefs. So when we get propaganda, we get TV, we get all this stuff that's telling us these ideas of things, I have this, I've always had this feeling that, it was all the same, but then for some reason it was divided. So we were separated at birth. Paranormal's over here, UFO's over here. Nuts and bolts versus woo. And the woo is likely the reality. Right. It's just you can't science that, which is why you have all this, that linear thinking. So to merge the two together, you have to study the people.
Right.
Okay. And if the people have the ability to use their mind to enhance thinking, to enhance energy with Reiki healing, there's the science. So why is it not possible that they're able to communicate telepathically with other beings?
Yeah.
But where are the beings?
Right, so yeah.
Well, they say you can channel them through psychedelics, don't they?
What's that? Sorry, go ahead.
So they said that you can channel them by having psychedelics, apparently.
Well, yeah, it's a mind-altering substance.
Yeah.
So it enhances the parts in the brain that allow us to imagine or hallucinate.
Yeah.
So that's the tricky part in terms of accepting that, because if the witness is credible and then the witness takes a drug that majority of people think is bad, is that testimony true and accurate?
Right.
It's like using a lie detector test. A lie detector test measures the temperature of the body. It doesn't tell you that they're lying. It's just if your temperature changes at a certain question that they think, might be suspicious, then they assume that you're lying or not telling the truth at that time. It's an assumption. It's a tool.
Yeah.
But it has to be reinforced with other corroborating evidence to convince a jury, that this person was lying based on this measuring system. They could be nervous, you know. There's a lot of things, and when they measure body language and stuff, people might accuse me of being French because I'm using my hands.
So when it comes to
sorry, go ahead.
I was going to say, when it comes to debunking UFOs and stuff like that, given the technology that even the most basic computer has to be able to generate imagery, how hard is it now to debunk?
It's very hard to debunk because, yes, AI technology exists, and when I get submitted evidence, it's usually copies of the original, or screenshots taken of the original, and I can't do any work if I don't have the original. So the actual source is important, and it creates frustrations for the experiencer because they may have just done human things. They take the video and then later on they're scrolling through and they see something they didn't see before, which could be light refractions or it could be something else that wasn't that big at the time, overlooked. Could be a bird, a bug, all these things, but then there's that belief behind it. And then they crop it and then they sell their story because there's other experiences that have happened to them, such as, extraterrestrial visitations and stuff. It's not just an isolated case. And then it gets to me and I say, I can't use it because you don't have, where's the original video? Oh, I don't have it. Well, I can't do any work for you. Sorry, because I you tampered the evidence. Yeah. And then it creates, distrust and upsets people and all this other stuff. But I can't do anything without the source. So, again, relating to the person, studying the person, when an experiencer reports a case, it is at a different time in their life. Whether it could be something that happened to them when in the 60s. It could be something that happened to them yesterday. It could be a premonition of something they think is going to happen in the future.
Right.
So we get them at different times and different things, but it's significant it's impacted them enough in their life that was the one that they chose to report. So it's important to acknowledge that they reported something, but it may not have been the best case that they had because it's a test. It's also they have to trust who they're reporting it to. It's your report. You can send it to MUFON, you can send it to Tessa, which is where we're at, you can send it to your neighbor, you can send it to your church, you can do a whole bunch of, you can tell the story to your family. You're going to get different versions based on their background of what they think it might be, and it's up to the experiencer to accept that truth.
Yeah.
I can't really, all I'm going to do is just kind of challenge everything to narrow it all down to figure out, like, okay, yeah, it could be an extraterrestrial, it could be, right? But we got to worry about this being that you're seeing at the end of your bed when your house should be locked when you're home alone.
Yeah.
If that's a ghost, okay, man, let's figure out how that's possible to be a ghost, and let's, you do all these other things, and that's where the psychological part comes in, where it could be seen in their mind, but that doesn't mean they're mental. That doesn't mean they're crazy. Yeah. It's just we're not given enough encouragement to nurture that ability unless you become a yoga instructor, or not yoga, but Reiki, using that pseudoscience, I guess. It's no different. I don't think, anyways, in terms of using the brain. It's using your mind to generate energy and then transferring that energy to another human being. Yeah. And then on that note, in terms of evidence, another thing that really grinds my gears, and is kind of on point with what I'm talking about, studying the people, is these paranormal investigators versus UFO investigators and versus an actual investigator. Okay, there's a lot of tampering of the evidence on the UFO side of things. If you believe it to be nuts and bolts, okay, you're gonna be using technology to capture something in this world that you're not interfering with. Yeah, they may interfere with your technology with EMF or EMPs or anything like that. That's a possibility. But in the paranormal world, if you're trying to communicate with extraterrestrials or ghost or spirit or whatever using technology in the paranormal side, like a REM pod or an EMF detector, K2 meter, you have to remove yourself, because you yourself are an energy being.
Right, okay.
Yeah.
And you yourself are thinking. And when that device goes off and you have other people in the room who are thinking the same thing, that power combined more than likely triggered the device.
Yeah,
right.
Because you have that group thought. And then they get scared together or they get excited together. And then that grows and grows and grows. So just by doing a paranormal investigation with a group, already contaminated the evidence.
Right.
Right? So,
I thought like that.
You set your equipment up, you leave the place, you come back, then you look at the footage.
Yeah.
Right.
Same thing with EVPs. Is John going to remember that he let one loose halfway down the hall on the second floor? No, he's all the way over there trying to not make a sound because he knows there's a recording going on. But did it pick it up? Meanwhile, Bob's on the other end listening. Holy shit, guys, listen to this. Right? What do you think it is? So there's And so another thing that I'm working on is I'm trying to develop a program where I can teach people how to investigate appropriately. And if they investigate properly, then they may come to the same conclusions that I've come to.
Right.
And I understand the excitement, I understand the thrill, and I understand that. But if you truly, want to know what's going on, the investigation process has to change. And so it's a mess, basically. But I'm trying to, make sense of it, if you will. But that's not even, we haven't even scratched the surface of all the conspiracies.
So, what's your take on the footage that the US Army released about that spaceship that was like flying and it just flew into the water?
So the 2017 one?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. My opinion. And you're English, so I don't have to worry about offending the Americans. Okay. And it's also early in the morning for me. What time is it for you guys? 8 at night?
No.
Or?
20 past 2 in the afternoon.
Oh, okay. So yeah, it's 9:30 for me in the morning on a Saturday. So
Right.
Okay, so my history with the Tic Tac video. 2017, I still worked for MUFON. I was the director of field investigator training for MUFON headquarters. Jan Harzan at the time, he had made the deal with Two Stars Academy to release the third video at their symposium. I seen the third video in its raw, unedited form without the watermarks that you guys see on YouTube. And I thought it would have been a blimp or a drone at that time. And when I put my information out on that, not knowing who Elizondo is, not a fan of Tom DeLonge, of course, because I like Blink-182. But I was looking at the just looking at it as an actual raw file. Metadata was removed. There was no, there was a lot of suspicion around the original, quote unquote, original file. But then when it came published, certain markers, it's kind of hard to explain without visuals, but there's certain elements that were added as layers to it. So like the markings on the aircraft itself, the measurements, or I'm not a pilot, so I don't know what the device is, I guess.
Yeah.
Instrument. That's the word. So I thought that was kind of odd, but then I can understand marketing, and I was learning how to sell things and how marketing worked in terms of MUFON, because I was, and that's a long story in terms of how that's wrong. But so that was my first experience with it. Then I left MUFON and then did all these other things, and then eventually coming back to it, and everybody's talking about it, and then I eventually got in this circuit of other people that are very talented in terms of being able to figure out what these things are. So Mick West is one of them. I talk to him a lot on Twitter. And I'll name another one, Stephen Greenstreet, which is a journalist for the New York Post. His investigative journalism was quite on point. And John Greenwald Jr. as well with the Black Vault and his FOIAs. So with their work, where they were able to bring to light that the government claims that they're drones. And even in the Congress meetings that was recent, they said that as well. So they've been debunked by the government.
Right.
Now this is the problem. It's like the boy who cried wolf. We know that the government isn't honest with us 100%. If the government was honest, we'd all be living in one government. But we have different governments, we have different countries, different alliances. Yeah. Right? For many reasons. So we're at this point where the science shows that it's not supernatural, because with that Congress meeting, or I'm not quite sure which meeting it happened. I think maybe it was the NASA one where they did some trigonometry to show that the speed was 40 kilometers an hour, or 40 miles per hour. Sorry, it's American. So that's a lot slower than as described. Then we get into the nitty-gritty of background checks on Mr. Elizondo and his crew and all those other things, and we were able to determine through government files that he's not part of the program that he claims he's part of.
Right.
Oh, right, okay.
So then it's this, but he claims that he's being, what's that word? Gaslighted, which is possible, right? I'm a fellow serviceman as well, and there are parts of my training that the government is trying to gaslight in order to save a couple bucks for some injuries that I have, right? And that's just basic stuff. So imagine on the high end how easy it is for the government to gaslight their own employees. So it's possible that he's telling the truth in some way, but the documentation shows that he's fictitious.
Yeah.
Or allegedly. Okay. Now he claims and all these other things and do all this other stuff, but this is where we're stuck: is who do we trust? Because now we have other whistleblowers coming out, which is this Gross guy, or David Gross. Yeah. Claiming the alien retrieval extraterrestrial retrieval of crafts and bodies. What people don't know is that he was groomed by Elizondo. So he is the next face after Elizondo, because Elizondo, he had to leave Twitter because there's so many people not buying into his shit anymore because all this stuff came in. Yeah. But that doesn't mean he's not telling the truth. It's just his credibility went to shit. Right. Then we have this new whistleblower coming out who's associated with him and all the other people. How do we believe him and not Lou?
Yeah.
Right. So there's definitely sides, but the sides that believe in the testimony are experiencers who don't have the evidence either, but it's similar to what they've experienced. So they're playing off of, or they could be playing off of the emotions of other experiencers in order to gain something. What is the end game? Well, Lou Elizondo is delayed on releasing his book where he's supposed to have information. But that's a good selling pitch because you have thousands and thousands of people and millions of people following you, and you sell your book for $1, you're going to get $1 million in one day.
Right.
So the marketing is on point, but does that mean he's deceitful? That's why we have to look at the evidence. So to go back to the Tic Tac video, when it was released to the public, we done some citizen science, and we were able to suggest at least by minute that it was a drone, right? Without extraterrestrial capabilities. All these extraterrestrial capabilities were projections based on assumptions, but couldn't be proven just as well as we couldn't prove that it was a drone. Yeah. Then the government comes out because they're forced to by this pressure, and then they verify the claims on the citizen science side that they're drones, and the math that they've done matches the math that we've done previously.
Yeah. Right.
So for us, that's validation. But on the other side, they don't believe it because the government has never been honest, or is not always honest. Right? So it's like the boy who cried wolf. They could be telling us the truth right now that there is nothing to worry about.
Yeah. They could just be
we're not believing it because so much things have happened. The pandemic, for an example. Yeah. Nobody believes that. The same thing about that. But yet the science hasn't changed.
Right.
So that's the tough part with those videos. So in my mind, the government has made a statement, and until more evidence comes forward that proves those crafts otherwise to be extraterrestrial, I'm dismissing them, which means I'm dismissing Elizondo, I'm dismissing Gross, I'm dismissing all of that. But the thing with Grouse in this claim of retrievals, there are secret retrievals of aircraft all the time, but it's our own.
Yeah. How
do you distinguish whether or not that's extraterrestrial? Well, you got to trust the credibility. But the thing is, with the concern I have with Grouse is that he's either right or he's mentally ill.
Yeah.
At a very high powered position within the government.
Yeah.
And that is equally concerning. Yeah. So to give him benefit of the doubt on both sides, because they have the proof, they know what they know, we can't argue that, until we get a court case and put them on trial. But now we got these whistleblowers that are coming out, and it's good that they have this amnesty to be able to do that. But how do we know they're not part of it?
Yeah.
How do we know they're not scripted? Because news is scripted.
Yeah.
Right? So all that stuff all those problems are manifested or manufactured by us. When we look at the evidence, we got to look at the source. The only thing that can truly be measured is ourselves.
Yeah.
Right? So if we're having an experience, we need to understand why I'm having this experience and why am I seeing this being and what does this being mean? Maybe I watched Aliens last night and I wasn't paying attention. Turns out I was, and I had a horrible dream about it. Like there's lots of things, but then you have that belief, because that belief that there's other life, that belief that there's life after death, that's hope that we're given.
Yeah.
Because we're slaves in this world. We have to work. We got to pay our taxes. We got to do all these things to keep the lights on.
Yeah.
But why do we do it? If we don't, we have children. If we don't have children, there's an afterlife. If you have a belief in an afterlife, and life is no different than the ufology and paranormal community. When you have flat Earth versus globe Earth, they're individuals that disbelieve, that have a different opinion on a similar matter. NASA, is the one who puts out the information to support the theory that we live on a globe Earth and that there's other planets out there. But NASA also are the people that filmed the alleged moon landing. NASA, also, pull speeds when there's interesting activity on their thing. NASA also used to be a studio for Disney. Okay, so there's before. So there's a lot of things that discredits the organization. But are they lying about the shape of the Earth? Right? And
don't get
so
Steve started.
Follow me on this. Okay? So if they're lying, that would be the ultimate lie. And in order to keep us in line with that, we'd have to believe there is a way out, even though we can't get out. So if space is real, that's our belief. And if extraterrestrials are real, they came from another place. So that we don't internally feel like we're trapped. But in reality, we could be. Because there's evidence that shows, who is it? Admiral Byrd is the one who discovered the ice, the Antarctica, which you consider the ice wall. And he claims that there's land beyond the ice wall. And he also claims that there is a firmament over top at some point. After that, they had Operation Fishbowl, and they tried to nuke the firmament and all this other stuff. There's like some sort of discovery. Whether that's an actual dome around the Earth or something else, that's debatable. But the history shows that they discovered something in that area, tried to destroy it, then all of a sudden they landed on the moon. So The timeline of things is suspicious. Now, if the Earth was non-rotating, I'm going to say flat, because when you say it flat, people think it's like literal, just a non-rotating plane,
right?
And we're contained in a dome. If that was true, then it would make sense to control the people by lying to them, by selling them the idea that there's God or that there's faith. Now, if God exists, then God and the flat Earth community, they believe God exists and he's being hidden, or he or she is being hidden, which is above the firmament. The flat Earth community dismisses space, dismisses satellites, dismisses extraterrestrials. They also don't trust NASA. So that's something they have in common with the UFO community, even though they disbelieve, right? It doesn't mean that they're not telling the truth. It's just something we as human beings have in common. There's something fishy. They might be a suspect to something, but to cover all this up, everybody would have to be in on it. It's a really big deal. But the point I'm trying to get at is, if you accept the possibility of the flat Earth model, outside of the dome, there would be other land. There would be another dome. There would be it's possible for our area to be non-rotating, but the Earth to be entirely a sphere in terms of the science, a combination of all of them. But if that's where we are, then the extraterrestrials, which means extra land, may not be out, it just may be out. So the outer land, outer space.
Yeah.
Depending on how we're looking at it. It's a perspective. But if you have, you know, where are the watchers, where are the gods, where are all those other stuff, if they're outside, it makes all sense. So it's, whether the earth is flat or round, there's still a container in which all these other magnificent things exist.
Yeah.
Yep.
But somehow we're able to communicate with them mentally.
Right.
Then you have evidence of the government doing MK Ultra, testing psychedelics and enhancing the brain, and trying to do remote viewing and all these other things, which is the common term today. So they're aware of these things. You know, it's so where I'm at with this is nothing is true. Everything is permitted in a sense. You know, I'm trying to, if the individual experiencer is affected by the phenomenon, then what I'm going to try and do is minimize the trauma that exists and try to regulate it. Yeah, that's possible, but what are the facts?
Yeah.
Where are they coming from? But if they can, if we're able to communicate through radio frequency, when we meditate or when we're praying, here's another example of how we're, as human beings, are the beings themselves or just messing up the science experiment.
Yeah.
Because if we're in different time zones right now.
Yep.
All right, different places of the world. So if I were to meditate and without this connection, and I were to spread love and light out through my thoughts, meanwhile you're over there and you guys are having an end of your day, and you guys are at the end of the day, and you're praying and you're asking for answers.
Yeah.
How do you know when you get that answer that wasn't God? That could have been me. Because when I put it out, right? Because we're simultaneously putting those thoughts out into that ether.
Right.
When you receive it, the information we're receiving can't be verified and validated. It could be a government program. It could be natural. It could be supernatural. So even as a psychic, we can't trust the information that's coming in because we can be deceived by that, even if it is real, or if it's, you know. So there's a lot. There's no regulation in this, and I feel like a cowboy in a very serious, race of things. But I've done so much work, so much studies, and I'm no further close to understanding what's actually going on, other than people are experiencing something and there's no help, there's no support. So that's why I focus on the support element, to at least let them know that they're not alone, for one. But let's figure it out, because you're the witnesses.
Have you yourself witnessed or seen any little grey or green men, or big?
Not UFO. Maybe I would have said paranormal back in the day, but now that I'm understanding consciousness a bit and psychogenic, it could have been just some sort of dormant psychic ability I may or may not have. I've recently started focusing on myself to try to actually understand how my own mind can get to these places, which kind of tampers the evidence in terms of it become biased by not having an experience. But the main thing is when I left MUFON, because I did not like how they did not support the experiencers. They took their story and then they Hollywood it, and they made money off of it. They profited off of these people. They took advantage of these people. Are you guys familiar with the end of Jan Harzan in MUFON?
No.
So he was arrested for solicitation of a minor. So I'm also responsible for giving that tip to the California police, because it was information shared to me in confidence by someone who had been sitting with Jan at one of the things. So there was a lot of problems with the Americans and little Canadian who came in and just sat on the board for a little bit, and then all of a sudden discovered all these things. So I had to leave the organization because they were going to try and ghost me. So I had to save everything to keep my reputation. So I kind of went out to do what I needed to do to keep face of the effort that I had put in, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to let go of the experiencer part. So I was also part of the experiencer research team with MUFON, and I enjoyed that part, which was a subsection of MUFON, but it wasn't actually MUFON, and they focused more on the experiencer. So with that, I created the Experiencer Support Association to focus on that, but I didn't know it was called the Experiencer Support Association. I had this, it was on this winter solstice in 2019, where I just got this vision, this geometric shape, which you can see on the website. Intricate symbols and colors would not leave my mind, and I had a headache, and it wouldn't go away. And I was 2.5 hours away from home, and I held on to that image, would not go away for 2.5 hours. And then when I come home, the first thing I do is I come up to my computer, and I just draw it digitally on the computer, because I want to do that. I don't remember starting it. I just remember ending it. Well, I remember starting it, but I don't remember the process. And then it ended it. Now I have the symbol. And it's like, wow, the headache stops. The beeping stopped, or the high-pitched thing stopped. So that was an experience. But was that extraterrestrial? Was that trauma-based? Because I was the hated by every American, at the time then, right? Afraid to cross the border. Like there's some serious things that I had uncovered as a private investigator. So it makes sense that it was a trauma-based experience. It could also be government. Maybe they, I don't know if you've seen the movie Mercury Rising, when he had a code in one of the old word search books. Like I felt like it was one of those. Like I don't want to talk about it. I held on to it for many years and do all these other things. Because what the fuck is it? And when I finally got comfortable doing it, I just shared it with others to see if other people, what it would look like from other people. And that's when I got introduced to consciousness. That's when I got introduced to flat Earth. That's when I got introduced to all these outside phenomenons outside of UFO, because that's where I was raised. So I was introduced to astrology, and like I knew all of these things, but I didn't really know, right? And then through this symbol, I was understanding, realizing that it works like astrology. It works with the flat Earth model. It works with consciousness. It works with UFOs. It works with paranormal. But that's all coincidence, because I'm studying it now. Because I was given an image with characters on it and symbols, but I didn't get any instructions with it. Right? Yeah. I didn't get no messages. I didn't get no, what are you supposed to do with it? Just a piece of art, which it could very well be. Well, as I work with it in layers, I started to learn that through this two-dimensional object that I drew on paper, on the computer, once I comprehend the third dimension and made it a little thicker, I started seeing like different things, pyramids and stargates and UFOs out of this image. Then when I was trying to comprehend the fourth dimension, splitting it apart, then I'm seeing literally a stargate or some portals or perhaps a UFO above a pyramid, a black pyramid, and things like that. So there's a lot of images that I'm seeing after the fact, which is again creative out of this object that was created by this experience. But it's too much of a coincidence that it fits. And when I placed this, so when I got into the flat Earth part, because I had to dabble into that, because I need to extract the truth in all of these to figure out what the real truth is. What everybody has in common. Then I bought a Gleason's map. And a Gleason's map is just an aerial projection of the map from 1858 or whatever, and it has a picture of the ice wall. But it has meridians on it. It has the equator. It has all these lines like a normal map would. if it wasn't around the globe, just unflattened, so unraveled. And I place my symbol in the center of it, and the tips touch the equator. And when I layer it, remove things, because there's different things in it, it's kind of hard to explain, then the central node fits in the center of the Earth. So which is the Arctic Circle, identical proportion. So I make an image on a computer. I only have access to an 8x11 printer, so I print it, and then I put it on this map, that standard size map, and it fits. And then as I rotate it, it starts to match movements of the sun and the moon,
right,
as is depicted on this map. So that doesn't mean that we have a local sun and moon as the flat Earth people communicate. Whatever that science is, because that's copied through many religions in the past. Somehow, subconsciously, I was able to create a device that is able to explain all these things to me in different ways and fit on this map. So that tells me that in terms of work, this is the map I need to use. But using this map doesn't mean the Earth is flat. Yeah. It's just a perspective.
Yeah.
Right? We get the Mercator map or whatever, which is not actual. It's just an easy way for us to understand where everybody is on the world. Then we have the globe, and you got to spin it around. But when you have a flat, projected aerial view of the Earth, which we use in aircraft as well, we use it in navigation in the Army too. Like when you're planning things, you're not planning around. So you got the whole picture.
Yeah.
You have a whole understanding. The other thing is the concept of time. Like we know that the calendar that we're using is not the original calendar. According to pagan religions, there was 13 months, not 12.
Yeah.
And there's, and time zones didn't exist. We all had our own time. This is just so we all get the same amount of daylight. So it's fair and equal in terms of the way that we're programming our systems. But if we don't have the right map and we don't have the right calendar, we are unable to do the things that we are born and destined to do. Mm-hmm. So if we are gods, created by God, we are to celebrate and worship on certain days. But if we're not using the right calendar, our worship of the same things are not happening the way that they're supposed to happen because the day is wrong.
Right.
That makes sense? And that's a lie. Because the government, the part of the government made changes. They removed things, just like they remove books from the Bible.
Yeah.
Right? When they, so this whole, to summarize it, this whole issue that we're having is the absence of God. So something happened. They did something. We're divine. They didn't explain it to us, or they did, but they left. So there's no explanation.
Yeah.
Or we just have to figure it out until there's more of us than there is of them, and then maybe that's the whole like divine intervention and all that other stuff. Or it's completely fabricated. We're in a simulation, we're in a machine, or whatever you want to call it, and these are the people that are just controlling us because there has to be someone else to report to.
Yeah.
So even if there's a wall and the government is surrounding it to make sure that we can't see that, who's on the other side of the wall? And if they're on the other side of the wall, if that wall exists, are we working together, or can we trust that the government is doing everything in their power to protect, to stop them from coming into us? Because if aliens were in this section of the Earth, they'd be able to do whatever the hell they want. We can't stop them if they have all this technology.
Yeah.
Unless they have consciousness and choice. They have a heart. And what has a heart? Humans.
Right.
Yeah.
See what I'm saying?
Do you think that aliens are among us and living and coexisting?
Well, it's a species. There's several species on this planet. Even as human beings, we have different color skin. Like those, like we're the same. Like that could be. a group or we might have different ancestors in terms of extraterrestrial beings, but some say that the changing of skin has to do with the climate and all that other stuff. Not that that's any different in the whole things, but that's just trying to set an example that within our own species or subspecies.
Yeah.
Right? So aliens could be its own species, or it could be a subspecies.
Okay.
Just like Bigfoot could be a subspecies of an ape, or vice versa, and then therefore close to us and all this other stuff. So it would make sense that, to me, now we got to get into time travel. How much time do we have? Let me just check.
I can't work out which ones you actually believe, because it seems like you're saying this, but then defending that.
Well, I believe nothing, but I understand all of it, and I'm trying to make sense of it,
right?
Because I want to know why people believe it, and once I figure out what they have in common, I'll know what the truth is.
Yeah.
And then for me, what do you do with it? Well, you try to tell everybody what your version and your opinion of the truth, but that, unless you do the research like I've done, and I don't have time to prove to you that I've done all this work. It's just when I know that Earth is a certain way, and when I know that the government is a certain way, then I'll change my life and adapt in a certain way, and that will spread in that way. Yeah. But I completely lost my train of thought. I think we derailed there.
Time travel.
Oh yeah, the time travel. Okay. So if time travel exists, I have a hard time with time travel because this would have to have already happened in order for us to go to the past, which means there has to be some sort of device that's recording this right now. As of right now, you're recording this message.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that you could go back and replay this is if you decide to record it now. Otherwise, it's gone. So for us to travel back in time to a place, there has to be a database that is recording all of this right now for us to see it.
Right.
So I don't necessarily understand time travel per se, because it's not my wheelhouse, but I'm not ignoring the possibility. So there is a theory that the extraterrestrial greys are perhaps a future evolved generation of humans.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing is them having the ability to come back in time, and whatever is happening for a divine reason, or to save our own asses, which makes sense, which we do that already, right? It's just, and these could be spacesuits or something. We don't know what's underneath these crafts or whatever, but we're talking thousands and thousands of years of evolution before we get to that.
Yeah.
So that's hopeful that humanity is gonna survive that long.
Yeah.
But it's also concerning that at some point they need to go back and fix something.
Right.
And when they come back and they fix stuff, then we get this deja vu stuff that's happening. And and that's interesting in its own, where the idea is that we've already done this, and if we have that feeling that we've already done this, and someone went back, changed something that changed everything, and then you're just remembering a path you already walked.
Yeah. Always talking about deja vu.
Yeah.
So deja vu is interesting, but does that mean we can travel in time? Well, maybe we can, but what is time? So when we, if I'm communicating to you telepathically, like while I'm meditating and you're praying and you receive that message and I don't know who you are, but my thoughts travel through time in space.
Yeah.
Right? We have to know where we're going. So if the Earth is, so this is the thing, is I do studies with the globe Earth, I do studies with the flat Earth. I do both because it could be either or. Compare the math and see where we are in the middle. So if the Earth is flat, and space is fake, and aliens are fake, according to the flat earthers, and that means all this hysteria was manufactured, and for what purpose? To control us, to prevent us from doing what? From being more powerful beings, which we already are, and we know that we are. We're just suppressed. We're not able to harness that energy. We're not able to use it. We're taught that it's wrong. And that can still exist in the globe Earth. It's trying to understand the why. And once we understand, we can accept that they're lying. We can accept that they're keeping some stuff from us, but why? Because if we knew we were trapped, we probably would panic and kill each other.
Yeah.
Like we did. Pandemic. We reacted horribly to that.
Yeah.
Because we were contained in our house. Imagine the thought of being contained on this earth.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's a reason to have to lie about these things, because it protects it would protect majority, in theory, if that's the reason. But it also creates a lot of turmoil, because we don't have a referee coming inside and managing us inside this box. So we kind of need, God in some shape or form to show up and be like, set everybody straight, like Dad's gotta come home, right? Or maybe the point is we as humans have to evolve so we can grow and we can understand and let that part go, because there's a struggle between those who are trying to prevent us from growing and those who are trying to expand actively. And when we have majority of that, then the world will be exactly how it needs to be, and then perhaps the second dome can be open. And the reason why I say second dome is because in the flat earth theory there would have been 3 domes. There's one which is the Garden of Eden in the center of the earth, the North Pole, which we're not allowed to go to either.
Right.
Once we were able to leave the garden, that dome was released to allow us to go into this other land, which is the Tower of Babel. Why we're all separated, we were able to grow, why we're finding things from our ancestors, because that's where they lived while we were in the garden.
Right.
And they moved to the third dome while we moved to the second dome. When we evolve, then that veil will be lifted, and then the third dome, and then perhaps that's where everything is. But the problem with the idea of there being extra land, if that's true, they're hiding resources.
Yeah. So
right?
Based on what you're saying there,
yeah.
What's the possibility of being a 4th dome then, if you're saying it's expanding that way?
What's the possibility of what, sorry?
There being a 4th dome in the future?
Oh, well, it could be unlimited. It could be endlessly. We got to first of all prove that there is one. Right? It's just the information is coming from ancient mythology. So whether or not that's true, but you compare the mythologies up to Christianity and Catholicism, they're very similar. It's just when Catholics or Roman Catholics decided to take control of everything, that's when that's where all this oppression started. So this negative stuff was a decision to shift something. So if you look at our history and all the things that are bad, that were bad, that are now good. Okay, women had a power struggle at the end, because they were considered witches, and all they were doing was practicing, or maybe they were just smart. They were science based. They knew things that the men didn't know, but they gave women a hard time for that. And our African Americans or just black people in general, they were criticized, and they are still struggling today.
Yeah.
Now, in the LGB, I can't say all that, all those acronyms, in that community, they're now coming out because we've been told that these are wrong.
Yeah.
But that's around the same time where Catholic Church came in. So imagine if you go far back and to understand the deities that existed in the ancient civilization, there's evidence that suggests that those in power were female, they were dark-skinned, and they went either way that's possible. Bisexual, trisexual, all that stuff.
Yeah.
All these things that we're taught to hate, the gods were.
Right.
So now, everyone in those groups are starting to get their power back. Yeah. And once everyone gets their power back and everyone's free to be, then the way that it was should return, which makes it cyclical. But those are theories, and based on mythology that could be mistranslated or misinterpreted. Right? So the only thing we can really trust is our own experience.
Yeah. Okay. You touched on it a little bit earlier on, and you said it was allegedly. Do you believe in the moon landing?
Allegedly, because there's I haven't been on the moon, and I don't believe. And in the flat Earth side of things, the assumption is that the moon is plasma and it's able to emit its own light. If that is true, then it's impossible for us to land on the moon. Now, it's questionable. I know that they filmed something. The question is whether or not they filmed that on the moon.
On the moon.
Or they just filmed it here while they actually landed on the moon and just didn't show us what's on there. That's possible.
Right.
But the footage that is shown of the moon landing is so ridiculous.
Yeah.
It's very hard to believe that happened. And because of that, that's why all these ideas get out there. Because we know that that's a shit video made in the studio. We can tell that.
Yeah.
But that doesn't mean we didn't land on the moon.
Right. I have seen the videos where the outtakes where they're running on the moon and they're tripping up and stuff.
Yeah. Like green screen on the moon, there's no stars, there's lots of things on that. And then the flat earth community is doing the same thing to just say the whole thing of space is they actually theorize that these planets are luminaries and there's stars and suns in the other domes, in the other areas. Which could make sense because when we're where we are, we can't see past there. We have to trust what NASA tells us. So if we can't trust them to do one thing, how can we trust that they got this high-res Photoshop picture of Jupiter, but yet they can't can't give me a color photo of the moon?
Right, I know, yeah. I'm batting for it to be true because my second name's Armstrong, so...
Yeah,
my ancestors.
Yeah. So, Armstrong, there's a lot of things on that. So, I would say it's hard to believe that any of this is true. The effort is shown that we're exploring. But we've been exploring. It doesn't take as long to conquer. So, they already figured out the way that it is. And then it's easier for them to keep this lie going than it is to fess up to it.
Right.
Because then we will react. And if they're concerned about how we will react, the positive of that is we're needed for something.
Right.
Let's just hope we're not a food source for the extraterrestrials. Right?
Right.
So there's a lot of needs. So that's the way I got to kind of round it down. Is we're here for a purpose. There's deities. There's man. There's women. There's like humans, and then there's spiritual beings. Right. I always recently started saying humans are funny, and dissociate myself in terms of that closed-minded thinking. Right. Still a subspecies of human, just a little bit more in tune.
Right.
I don't want to use the word woke, but that's trendy too. But that kind of idea. But that's wishy-washy depending on where you are in that community. So we have no choice but to live our day. We have no choice. We can't go anywhere. The only way we're going to know what's on the other side is when we check out, and we have that instilled in us that if we end it by our own hand, we're gonna go to hell. If you believe in that, and many religions do that. So that kind of another strategy that may be used in place to keep us in line.
Right.
Yeah.
Because they want us to live long. They want us to, I guess, fund something.
Yeah.
To protect something for someone. Because we're needed. And when there was too many people not conforming to the way that they needed it, the way to meet their quota, I suppose, the supernatural quota, I guess, they had to create an environment where we all stayed inside for a couple years.
Yeah.
Whether that was a lie or manufactured by our own or an accident, that was, something that needed to be done to add more negative energy to the flowing positive energy that was coming, that was already there.
Yeah.
But the best thing about it is this positive part is still there. We didn't really take too much collateral damage. And some of the negative thinking people reflected and was grateful that they were able to survive whatever that is, which therefore adds more positive energy.
Yeah.
So if it was a negative intention to destroy the world, as some people think, they failed. Or maybe that was the point.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? If they are in charge and they know the end game, they're going to have to do some things to guide us in a certain way, and there's always going to be casualties.
Yeah.
But as long as the majority survive for the end game, then the planet will survive, or the mission survives.
Yeah.
There's not enough resources for everybody. There's not enough for anyone. Killing them is not really, a good way of doing that.
Yeah.
But it's a known strategy that's been used over the years.
Right.
So, what is the end game? When we die, nothing happens.
Anyone's question, isn't it?
Yeah. So I'll go straight back to Flat Earth again.
Don't get him started.
I told you this, but say they're saying it's flat with a dome. Well, look, yeah, a dome around it. So what do they say is on the other side? So if it's a coin, what's on the other side?
Some people suggest that on the other side there is another, I guess, moat, if you will, with other continents. There's other planes.
Okay.
How they know that, I don't know. I haven't been able to discern where the source is from that.
Yeah.
The only evidence of there being a wall of ice that circles the Earth comes from Admiral Byrd, which was a decorated Army guy. But people try to discredit him too. So I mean,
right.
And does that mean that the wall? Maybe there was a barrier there. Maybe they broke through it. Maybe it was like a wall. It didn't go all the way around. Maybe it was just in their way. Like there's a lot of interpretation of that. So he claimed that there was land outside of it because when he discovered it, he was up in the air. Right, Admiral Byrd. Right, he's a pilot. I forgot. Sorry. So yeah, he was up in the air, and then he was able to see over beyond the wall. That's his testimony. Now. Yeah. Is he telling the truth? Well, it's hard because before then we have. I keep looking over here because I got a map from all the different types of religions that depict the flat Earth. Just to give me an overall concept of what it might actually be. I don't know. He drew it. And he claimed that they saw it, and it's adapted off of other versions of things. So it would have to be true to some extent. But it also could not be true.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Like a dome, the idea of a container, this is a vessel, the body that we're in, it's a container. The corpse holding on to a soul, essentially.
Yeah.
Right, and then Christ consciousness, which is teaching us how to, meditate and focus on ourselves, being the temple. And we are our own dome. We are our own flat Earth. It could be a metaphor that we're, it might not literally be a non-rotating Earth. It just could have been interpreted as a metaphor for our being.
Right.
But they're not around to explain it. We just interpret it, translated a language that we somehow knew a different language, but we were able to understand someone else's language.
Yeah.
That's also. So how do we know we were able to translate that appropriately?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So there's so much mud in the water.
Yeah.
The only thing we can do is if you have that feeling, trust that. Don't trust that feeling 100%.
Yeah.
Challenge it, because it could be government implanting fucking ideas in your head.
Yeah.
Or it could be your neighbor down, who's doing devil worship, and you just pick some negative thoughts up.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm pretty gullible as well. I believe anything. So. So, what's your take on the Bermuda Triangle? Sorry, is that alien related?
Well, the Bermuda Triangle is interesting. So, that is an area where a lot of technology malfunctions. So there could be a huge power source that kind of counterproduces, I guess, the energy there. Again, not an engineer, I don't know the words, but like counter reacts.
Yeah.
There's claims of missing time. There's claims of all these other things. Now, in the flat Earth side of things, they claim in order to get to the heavens, you have to submerge into the water first. So in order to get out of the dome, it's not through it on this plane, it's underwater. So you go underwater and then eventually underneath it, and then you'll carry up over it.
Oh, right. I get what you mean. Yeah.
To get to the other world, because for us to be in a dome, it means we're underwater.
Okay.
Now that there you get into the story of Atlantis and all these other things, we could be Atlantis. This could be, all these other things. So applying that concept, what if the Bermuda Triangle is that area in which you dive?
Right.
And they're keeping us away from that as well by telling us all these horrible things. It could also be where NASA's sending all their rockets.
Right.
Because they don't go up, they go on a curve, and they got to come down somewhere. The illusion is that they're going out, but if there's a dome, they're not going anywhere, but they got to go somewhere. And it could be to the other side, could be all that. It's interesting when SpaceX, when Elon Musk there put his rockets out, and then they hit something, and then all of a sudden you see a bunch of watery looking things. What did he hit? So that obviously made the flat Earth community happy. Another thing that made the flat Earth community happy was these spy satellites on balloons, because they believe that all satellites are carried by balloons, even the International Space Station.
Right.
But because they have to be up there in order for us to see, but they're not out there.
Yeah.
Because if you take a picture of the Earth, come back to NASA's photoshopped image of the globe, we don't see stars, and we sure as hell don't see all these thousands and millions of satellites, but we use Google Earth or we use Google something to see these satellites on these satellite trackers. There's thousands and thousands of debris out there, but yet none of the photos show that.
Right.
So again, doesn't mean the Earth is flat, doesn't mean that we're stuck, doesn't mean that NASA's lying. It's just there's just so many holes in all of this, which makes it possible. But we can't do anything about it.
Right.
We have to be a billionaire with and have lots of money, get into a device, go out and see it for ourselves.
Right.
And we want to make sure that there's an engineer that's capable who's building those machines.
We don't want to talk about billionaires getting in devices.
Yeah. Billionaires don't.
It doesn't always work out.
I don't think they want to fly planes anymore. So they found a way to get rid of them. Is what I'm saying. So So anyways, it's a mess. Yeah. So I find, and that comes from the way I was thinking. I was thinking that it was on the surface, and now the further I study it and understand it, it's more internal. It's more spiritual. It's more consciousness based.
Yeah.
But are there other beings, or is just us? Are we communicating with each other? Are we just, we have all this hate. We're taught racism. We're taught all these things.
Yeah.
We're taught about ghosts. We're taught about the globe.
Yeah.
Where do we go from here?
Yeah. So, do you think that aliens built the pyramids? I know you mentioned pictures of UFOs being over the top of the pyramids.
Well, extraterrestrials could be the architect.
Yeah.
They may have had the plan, and man did the work. How did man do the work? Well, there's been some studies that shown that it's possible with a lot of slaves to be able to move these rocks and put them in certain areas.
Yeah.
I would imagine, you'd have to have a lot of people or the ability to clone and make new ones at a will, like a factory to be able to do that. And then there's other theories that they use sound, and there's evidence that shows that with the reverberation of sound waves.
Yeah, I've seen that on small scale.
You can levitate objects.
Yeah.
When the monks get together and they do a group meditation, and they focus on the word Om, if they're vibrating on the same frequency, they're able to levitate small objects in that room.
Yeah.
Nice.
So we can do that. The idea of levitating these stones and putting them in precise perfection and doing all these other things, it's possible.
Yeah.
It's also possible that technology may have existed back then, that they used it to sculpt it out of something, or I don't know. So anything could have created it, but it would have had to been a combination of extraterrestrial and humans, because we are a slave race. There's so much evidence of that back in the day. Even in the Garden of Eden, when God made us, we had to work. We had to name everything. We had to take care of everything.
Yeah.
We certainly weren't there on vacation. And then we had to build the pyramids. And then now we got to work, pay taxes. So we, whether we like it or not, we're controlled by something.
Yeah.
So if I were to land on it, maybe the pyramids were already there, built. They could be built by extraterrestrials, and then we discovered them, and then they left. Or it's who's the architect? That's important.
Yeah.
Who's the boss? Who's the CEO? Who's the one with the plan? Because we're capable of doing anything if we're guided and we're taught.
Yeah.
But where did that idea to build a pyramid come from? That also happens to be, underneath the Orion's belt, which also could be a power station for free energy.
Yeah.
Right? We're back there using rocks and bronze, perhaps, maybe back in that. I don't know what the time periods. I'm not a historian. I'm just an investigator. I learn all these things and I put puzzle pieces together. But I know absolutely nothing. I'm not an expert in anything. Just an expert in putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
Or building the case. So where did that idea come from? Hey, we need this.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
No problem. Forget who made it.
Yeah.
Who come up with the idea? Who's the engineer?
Well, they said that with the pyramids, it's the only way they could build buildings, because they worked their way up till they got to nothing, almost, because it was an easy
Why do
way
they need
to
to
build.
be so high?
What, sorry?
Why do they need to be so high? Why do the archways and doorways have to be...
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
5 times the height of a human being?
Yeah.
How big were these aliens? There's height. There's
Well, you
giants.
could say that about a mansion, though, couldn't you? You could live in a mansion. Why do you need it so high?
Yeah, well, yeah. But the doorway doesn't need to be that high. That's, that could be status now, but that's copied.
Yeah.
Because everything was built high. If you look at some of the old churches that have been renovated, you can still see that the archways were much higher. We want to get into the mudslide or mud floods and Tartaria, which is the idea of a giant race with free energy and technology that exists in Russia. So Russia would be Tartaria, which is an advanced civilization, which makes sense why Russia is against Ukraine right now, because there's a fight for that border,
Right.
and all these other things. But there's power there, a history of power, and with the Tartarians, they were massive, they were tall, they were huge, so they needed to have taller porchways for them to get into.
Yeah.
Then we came, and then there all of a sudden we discovered it. That's why we're smaller.
Right.
The other people theorize that these churches and these cathedrals, they were just all the stained glass wasn't there before. That's a new age invention. They weren't built with the stained glass. They were empty cavities.
Yeah.
And through that, they were able to harness energy and manipulate sound. But you would need an external device or some source of energy to push it through that to create sound. So there's actually a lot of science that suggests that these things existed under the earth, and then as things were electronically charged, they started to surface.
Right.
Which means it was buried before. And again, we left the garden to explore the world. Who was living that world before we left it? The way we found it is the way they left it.
Right. Okay.
But where did they go?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they would have, who let the shield down?
Yeah.
Who let us out of the garden, right? Like, even if we don't call it a dome, we were still contained in the center of the earth. And until a certain time period had happened, or we did a certain thing where we no longer served a purpose, right? I don't want to blame Eve as being the sole reason we got kicked out of the garden, but the idea is at some point a decision for us to expand was made.
Yeah.
Who made that choice? Why did they make that choice? Where did the ones that were there go?
Okay.
Even if we're on a globe, that can still happen.
Yeah.
The globe just might be bigger than it's shown, which is why the Earth is photoshopped, because they need to make it look like the lie. But that doesn't mean it doesn't rotate. It doesn't mean that we're not moving through space. So even the flat Earth side, like, there's concepts that could be true, and there's concepts on the globe side that could be true. But the only people we can trust are the people that work for NASA.
Yeah.
Which is the government.
Yeah.
So it's right, unless you know someone who seen it for their own eyes. And,
So in that case, I'm guessing the flat earthers wouldn't believe in dinosaurs then, would they? Because dinosaur bones apparently are put there by humans to make them not believe in God.
Yeah, I know they don't. They dismiss dinosaurs too. They dismiss a lot of things, and I have problems with that because it can't just not exist. But maybe the way it's explained isn't truthful.
Yeah.
So satellites exist, but they're on balloons. I'll accept that as a possibility because we can see them, and maybe the way that they're moving is on helium balloons, perhaps. But the idea that dinosaurs didn't exist to create the idea that God doesn't exist, well, it fits in the terms of the theory that they're hiding God. And the Flat Earth community are very faithful. They believe in God. And it shows evidence of a non-rotational Earth in the Bible as well, which is something they oftenly reference. I don't know about dinosaurs.
Right.
There's a map that I have over here. It's an old Spanish map. It's slightly older than Gleason's map. It has the ice wall, but there's no ice.
Right.
It's land.
Okay.
So this must have been a long time ago, before the Antarctica was covered with ice, however that happened.
Yeah.
And in that map, there are pictures of beings that look like dinosaurs.
Okay.
So perhaps the dinosaurs existed, just not in our the Earth. Because these stories get passed down. These stories get passed down by the people that created us.
Right.
That are also absent. So the only way we're really going to understand the truth is if they come back and they explain it all to us.
Right.
We're making these assumptions based on what was passed down, and it's a broken telephone game, and someone has to know the truth.
Yeah.
So dinosaurs could exist. They might not. Why does it matter? The Earth could be flat. Why does it matter? It doesn't really matter. We're both stuck in a container. We both can't go anywhere. Right? If it's ghosts or it's aliens, it's a supernatural being. It's something out in space. Like, why can't we just agree that there is? We're stuck in a container where there's an absence of God, and we're super beings. We have the capability of doing magical things, but yet we choose, or we have to, because of fear and the law, that takes things away from us.
Yeah.
We conform.
Right.
Now, there's pros to that, because not everybody's a good person.
Right.
So, right? If we were all free, then that means all the other ones who have, that have plans to do negative intentions are also free.
Yeah.
So to contain the bad, you got to contain the good.
Yep. I think we're coming to the end now.
Should we play the game?
We can do, yeah. Are you ready to play your game?
Sure. What's the rules?
So it's called Fact or Reset. I'll give you a fact and you just basically say fact if it's true, or say reset if it's something we've made up.
It's like our take on true or false.
True or false, basically.
Okay, fact or reset. All right.
You'll be going on the leaderboard.
I can't see that. I can't.
Yeah.
I can't see. Yeah.
So the first one. Some snakes have teeth in their butts, so they bite other predators if they sneak up on them.
That's so good. You know what? I would. You said some snakes, not all snakes.
Some.
So I would say that could be a fact.
Is that what you're going with?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's false, that one. So we go on to the next one.
All right. I don't know.
A termite queen can lay up to 30,000 eggs per day, depending on the type of termite.
That's probable. That's possible. I don't know. That's true. We'll say that was true.
Yep, that's true. You're on the board.
Okay. All right, I'm on the board. Here we go.
The first PC.
Snake's biting out of its ass. Oh no, that seems like.
The first PC created was around 50 feet long.
It was big, so I don't know if it was 50 feet long, but I know it was huge. So I'll say true.
Yeah, that's true as well. Well done, you're on 2. Maurice McTom was the first person to create a teddy bear in 1903.
I have no idea who that person is.
It's the first I've heard of it as well.
What did he create? First person to create what?
A teddy bear in 1903.
1903. What is his name?
Maurice McTom.
No, I think that's a reset. 'Cause I think the teddy bear was created after Ted Roosevelt in America, wasn't it?
What's your answer?
Okay, reset. Like
No, that was true. So there was teddies around, but he created the first teddy bear.
Okay, all right.
And that's the end of the game. You got 2.
Okay, that's interesting. I was expecting like ghosts and aliens, like something like that. But it's hard science.
Yeah, that'd be too easy for you, though.
Yeah, that would be. All right, so I guess we're done then, or?
Yeah, it's been fantastic talking to you.
Yeah,
Learned loads.
Very insightful, very thought provoking.
It might sound crazy, but I mean, I'm trying to explain the rationale of all the conspiracies in an hour and a half on how they have to come together. It's just it's I don't need to do a presentation or some speeches or do anything to prove this point. It's just something I know now.
Yeah.
And I know I'm not the only person that knows this, and I'm not going to preach. It's just I'm trying to understand why, and once I understand the why, then I can help other people that might be, confused just as well.
Yeah.
And then let's work together and take that, remove that negative, and focus on the positive. And if you want to call yourself a witch, you want to call yourself a ghost, you want to call yourself a galactic being of light, all the power to you. I'm just making sure you're using your powers for good.
Yeah.
Okay.
While I'm also trying to get rid of the people that are manipulating us for bad.
Yeah.
That's where the crime element comes in. Someone's got to police this place. Like,
Yeah. On both sides.
Yeah. All right.
It's been brilliant.
Fantastic. Brilliant.
Thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, no worries.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll see ya.
Take care.
See you
Good
later.
luck.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Well, what did you think of that then? That was a good chat, wasn't it?
It was interesting, very thought-provoking.
It was. Like, he knows a lot, like,
Yeah, he's obviously got into his stuff.
He's really left me guessing on what side he's on most cases. He's like, he seems like he's a flat earther, but then he also debunks flat earth.
Well,
like,
I think he's erring on the side of caution there, and he's with the flat earthers.
Yeah, it seems that way. But like I said, he doesn't believe in anything, so I suppose it's a good way of looking at it, because if you don't believe in anything, you question everything.
Well, he did say he was trying to debunk and prove
the
same sort of thing, to prove that something's real or to prove that something's not real.
Isn't it crazy, like, getting all these guests on, right, and then one person will say one, and then the other person will say something else. It's like, it's like our mate James Maynard. he said that he's got his family and they've sent, stuff to the moon.
Yeah.
But obviously, Ryan Stacey's saying that other people are maybe saying there's no moon.
Yeah, but basically, what you're saying is James Maynard's family been sent to some studio somewhere.
yeah, exactly, yeah. It's just crazy, isn't it? It's just loads of different takes.
Imagine getting them two on together.
Aye.
That'd be interesting, though, wouldn't it?
Well, I think I don't think I would understand what it was on about. It'd be like one of them. Put them in a room and just leave them to it. Because I felt like both of them was dumbing things down for us.
Yeah. In a nutshell, yeah.
And then to really mix it up, bring Robert Lee in as well, and have all three of them just having an intellectual conversation.
Yeah,
and we'll just sit there and listen.
Just sit there. Yeah, it would be an interesting show.
Yeah. Anyway, did you see that the first flying car got certified the other day in America?
I've heard something about this.
It's crazy. It's apparently there's going to be flying cars in 2025.
Wow.
Have you seen the car?
Yeah, I think so.
It's crazy looking. It's really odd. But the way it moves is it'll go up in the sky, normal. But then the car will twist almost like a 60-degree angle. But because the seats are not attached, it's almost like a dome.
Yeah.
The seats will move so you still sat straight, but the
so it's like
sideways.
kind of like a gimbal kind of thing where you're just always going to sit straight.
Yeah, you're always straight, but the car turns.
Yeah.
And then it'll fly sideways that way.
That's like having a dome around it. It's like the flat earth thing, isn't it?
yeah, it is. Yeah, I suppose you could say, yeah. So there's the fourth dome.
So it's a flat car.
Yeah. But the issue I have with this is, what happens when everyone's got one of them? Who's going to stop the traffic?
Well,
this... You don't want to crash in there, do you? In the middle.
No, because you just come straight down.
You're just dead. Instantly.
Yeah, I don't know how they'll police that.
Yeah. If you can hear that, that's because we got heavy rain here now.
Really heavy rain.
Yeah. But we'll leave that for ChatGPT news, which we'll do now, actually. So we'll on to the weather.
Cue the music for that.
Pennsylvania lawmakers consider replacing the state's official song. What's that, like the national anthem, I'm guessing?
Yeah, I think each state has their own sort of anthem.
Right. Couples ditch traditional wedding dress codes in favour of out there themes. So like a wrestling theme or something like that.
Wrestling or barbarian or
just
something
mixing it up. I don't understand the whole white dress that's overpriced thing.
Yeah.
It's proper overpriced.
10 grand just for the dress.
You know what I mean? If you need a fancy dress, you'll use that again at Halloween and stuff. At least. Florida's Dr. Deep resurfaces after a record 100 days living underwater.
Dr. Deep?
Yeah. He went on the 1 billion cruise, was it? I shouldn't joke about that, no?
Oh, was it to do with the submarine?
No.
I've no idea what you're on about.
I know, yeah. I don't know. He's some Dr. Deep. I don't know. He must be a man that's gone underwater for 100 days.
Right, okay.
And come back, eh? That's the record, maybe.
Is that he held his breath?
Yeah. He held his breath for 100 days straight. Yeah. Pigs run loose on Metro Highway after semi-truck tips over in Minnesota. Yeah.
And if you're in America, it's semi.
It's semi, yeah. Semi-truck is what they say. Mexican mayor marries a crocodile.
Here we go. That's like the snake one last week.
Yeah. Well, it weren't last week, 2 weeks ago, because we didn't have ChatGPT on the last episode because we had 2 episodes in one. So we only did one ChatGPT.
Yeah, because of that, it confused me now.
Yeah. You need to stop doing all this confusing
stuff.
stuff.
Yeah, it's 2 weeks ago, wasn't it?
Yeah. Oh. And that's all for ChatGPT news. Over to you, Stu.
It's absolutely thrown it down.
Absolute storm it's had. You probably hear it. Yeah, it's not good. It's not looking good. I'll get straight back to my news anyway. So, we were talking about the flying cars, weren't we?
Oh yeah.
Right. So, what is your take on that? How would you make that work?
I don't know, because I don't agree with some of the laws on the road.
Yeah, I'm saying.
So I don't know how they. I just have no idea how they will police. Flying, being able to fly.
Well, what they're saying is it can drive up to 300 miles, like flying wise. Yeah. But obviously, I think if they capped it so it's 5 miles, it starts giving you a warning, drop down at some point, and just use it for getting over say there's a car crash on a motorway,
Yeah.
and just jump over, like fly up,
Yeah.
go over the thing and land again.
Yeah.
Just get
That
that might work, but again, are we landing safely without cars being underneath
Well,
you?
that's it. You know, you've got to have so much new technology to be put into this to be able to police it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Unless I've got an idea for that. So you know the landing.
yeah.
So what if it like shines down like almost like a big red car on the floor? So the car in front, you can see that something's coming down like a car shape, and you know that you'd see that as a car.
Yeah, but why would the car on the floor have to move out the way?
That's true.
Because it's the one who wants to come down. That's his problem.
Yeah.
He's got to do it safely.
Yeah.
So I mean, it's got to be be done properly. Like, I mean, if for God's sake, we're not even allowed to fly drones.
Yeah.
Around, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I've got to have cars.
It is going to be hard. Is that maybe it's limited to only certain places?
I don't know.
Maybe they make their own roads.
But they'd have to do something because you've got all the telegraph poles, the electric
That's
masts,
true. They'd be smashing into poles and
stuff
that,
like that. So you've got to.
Yeah. There's buildings as well that look like... I've been driving up motor and there's buildings that look like blue and white.
Yeah.
That look like a sky.
I know.
I'd fly into that thing.
I would.
Thinking it's a shortcut. Yeah, I don't see it working. 2025, they've got nothing
Too
in
soon.
place ready for that.
Too soon.
Way too soon.
Yeah.
First aid transplant guy. Did you ever hear about that?
No.
So there was a guy that was fully disabled, in a wheelchair and stuff, kind of like... What's that science guy that died?
Stephen Hawking.
Stephen Hawking, yeah. Kind of like him, but like he was like really clever and stuff. So he agreed to get a full head transplant into a new body.
Wow.
So basically removing the head, the whole head, and placing it on a new body.
Okay.
I don't know if it's his brain or his head, but it says head transplant, so I'm guessing the whole head. But
Has it worked?
well, this is the thing. He was just about to go through with the surgery. Everything was in place. It was going to cost $1 million or something to do. It was like a big set in stone thing. Woman came along, got with him. Now he's got something to live for, he said. He didn't want to do it anymore. He married some woman and stopped the surgery, and now he lives as a cripple. That's mental.
Do you not think that was just a little bit convenient?
Probably, yeah. But if you look at the woman, she's stunning. He's definitely got money in.
Yeah.
Well, that's horrible. He was just about to do what he's always
hang on
wanted.
a minute. So he was physically disabled.
Yeah, all over.
All over.
Much, yeah.
So then he was going to get his head transplanted onto somebody. So he'd still be paralysed from the neck down.
Why?
Because you've got all the nerve endings that run up through the spinal cord.
Yeah.
The spinal cord gets severed. There's no fixing that.
Well,
no technology in this world at the moment to fix the spinal cord.
Is there not?
No.
Well,
once that
they
gets
was
severed,
on about
it's
doing it, so I'm sure they must have had a solution to it.
Maybe.
Unless there's a box in the middle. You know, like one of the little junction box you would use in an electric box. You can end wires into it and can end wires into it.
Ooh, this is blue goes to blue there.
Don't do that. No.
Why is his earth green and this one's pink?
Yeah. He's trying to move his arms, his legs are kicking instead. Oh, you've wired him up wrong.
He starts walking around on his hands. He starts eating with his feet.
Yeah. So we did it. It was a success, but you're going to have a few issues.
Well, give it some time, see if it beds in a little bit. Work out all these little problems.
You'll have to sniff food through your ears.
You'll have to sniff food through your butt.
Yeah.
For your ass.
But yeah, that should have happened, that. He shouldn't have let a girl come in his way. I would have been curious to see if it worked.
That would have been interesting.
Yeah.
It's a bit of the old Frankenstein complex, isn't it?
Yeah. But Frankenstein was dead completely, wasn't it? And brought it back alive with electricity.
Different body parts, wasn't it?
Do you reckon that'd be possible? Bring someone back alive with electricity? Because that's what jump starts you, isn't it?
Well, yeah.
But if what they say, soul has gone, then there's nothing there. It's a body and it's just a vessel.
I don't know.
You'd have to find a way of transporting that real energy into this body.
I suppose you'd have to have a part that's still alive.
Yeah. So what if you did to a pig, like put a pig's brain almost into a human?
Maybe.
And then shocked it?
Yeah.
That'd be confusing.
I think you'd have to have some of that. I mean, obviously the films depicted the grave robbers going digging up graves.
Yeah.
But I think you'd have to have someone who was still alive, based on what you've just said about the guy.
Yeah.
I think you'd have to have a heart that's just not long stopped.
Yeah.
So you've got the chance to re-jump it.
Yeah.
So I think that certain factors could be involved. But I'm not saying it is possible, but
Yeah.
I think
So
it is interesting.
Let's say you're in this situation, you're crippled all the way down. What type of body are you going for? Normal or one like John Cena or something? Proper beast.
With the body I've got now, I'd want to be like Arnold Schwarzenegger in his prime.
Innit?
In his prime.
I mean, if you're paying up front, you want a good outcome.
You want to get your money's worth.
But then he's like, right, this is the exercise you have to do every day. But like, with my mental brain, I can't be bothered doing that.
Yeah.
Because you'd have to keep up on it, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
So
otherwise, you'd end up with how Arnold Schwarzenegger looks now.
Yeah. But he can still put it on, can't he? When he works out, he looks good again.
He still works out.
Yeah.
75 years old.
Yep.
Good on him.
Alright, another one. Romeo and Juliet in 1968. Did you ever watch that film?
No.
Originally in 1968 anyway. There was a nude scene.
Ooh.
And, no, he's saying ooh. The Juliet in it was 15 years old. How did they get away with that?
No idea.
That's mental, isn't it?
Well,
can you imagine that now? 15 years old nude scene. How is that still...
I think I've heard something about this.
How is that still available to buy?
I don't know.
That's technically paedophilia now, isn't it?
Well, yeah, because you're not allowed.
If you look at a 15-year-old's private bits now and a video...
Yeah, I think I've heard about this one. I'm trying to think of the actress's name. Unless I'm thinking of... Because I know there was another film where the actress in it, she was only 15. Although she was portraying an older woman.
Yeah.
I think at the time of filming she was only 15 and they did nude scenes.
Yeah.
So it would have to come down to consent, wouldn't it?
Yeah, well, that movie now should have to get removed.
Or edited.
Underage porn, isn't it?
Or edited, at least.
Yeah, just that bit edited out.
But they not edited it out.
No, it's still there.
Kept it in.
Still there.
Wow.
But the person that did it, she said that they didn't agree to do a nude scene. So when the script was there was no nude scene. It was, we'll be giving skin, suits, so that you don't have to be nude. But when it came to it, he said to make it more real, you're gonna have to be fully nude. And they weren't happy with it, but they went through it anyway to fill the scene side of it. But then it came out, the movie and everything. Anyway, later on now, 2023, they're now claiming from the company that made them do that nude scene, and they're aiming for 500 million each.
Okay.
For the nude scene.
So each is in is that male and female, or
yeah, Romeo and Juliet. They were both young. Nude.
They were both young.
Well, he was 16, she was 15, so it'd be more.
But it's still minor in America because it's under 18.
Yeah, that's true. I don't know how long that's been for though. 18, maybe it changed.
I think
maybe
it still
16.
is minor in most.
Yeah, but it says 500 million. I don't know if it was each or between them or.
Well, depends on what was on display as well.
Yeah. Well, it said on the description, a boobs.
Oh right, okay.
That's pretty much it. But still.
I wouldn't watch it. I'm not interested in Romeo and Juliet.
Yeah, no, it's too hard to follow, isn't it?
Oh god, it's terrible.
Way too hard.
Even the one that they filmed, what was about 10 or 15 years ago, Leonardo DiCaprio, was it? Something like that. That was bloody hard to follow.
Did you see the original act for Romeo and Juliet?
No.
He looks like what's his name now? Him from High School Musical.
Not seen High School Musical.
Oh, what's his name? He was in the new Baywatch.
Oh, Zac Efron.
Zac Efron. He looks like him. 19. So there's a video where he got interviewed, and I was just watching it. He looks a bit like Zac Efron.
As well, doesn't he?
Doesn't he?
So that's them, is it?
That's them, yeah. She was 15, he was 16.
Right.
But I was watching an interview with him, and she's 15, and she's sat there, she's having a cig, and the interviewer says so you're 15 and you're smoking, it's pretty young to be smoking, is you more happy with that? And she's like, well, my mum knows that I smoke, and she's tried to stop me, but she knows I smoke anyway behind the back. And it's crazy listening. And you can just see her looking to him.
And that
for
was 1968,
answers.
was it?
Yeah.
Well, attitudes had changed a lot by that point.
Oh, yeah. But if you listen to that interview, it's so formal, and you take one on a real tape, and there's yes, and I say this, and they're talking very proper, and you're it doesn't seem real. It's weird.
So why try and claim for the money now?
Hang on, I want to see if we can do a little clip of it, that interview, but I think the voices are dead formal, but it sounds good. It's like an interview. rather than
Yeah, the
laid
interview
back,
techniques were
chill.
different back then, weren't they?
Yeah.
They always seemed dead formal.
Romeo,
Oh, there's that. There it says the Romeo and Juliet 1968 love scene.
the Scruffs. Is that on YouTube?
I doubt that you'll see anything on YouTube. YouTube's quite...
Interview. But the way that's it.
Okay.
But they've got the clappers and that.
Now, Leonard and Olivia, you've just both come back from Rome, where you've been playing Romeo and Juliet. Let's start with a press report, which talks about, in your case, Olivia, a small flat in London's Docklands.
I don't know why. I must have
I live in Wimbledon.
10 minutes of it.
And in your case, Leonard, it says a semi-detached in wood grain where you made the morning cup of tea for the family.
The house bits are right, but I didn't make the cup of tea for the family.
Didn't
See
make
what
the
I
cup
mean?
of tea
You
for
don't
the
feel like
family.
kids, do they?
No.
It says that you, Olivia, are 15.
Yes,
That's true.
yes.
And you're 16.
17.
17. So much for the press. We're off. Now then, in terms of, let's start with, one of the things they always like to do is talk about unknowns and people who haven't worked, always getting big parts. Let's start with Leonard on this one, and just give me a rundown on your working history as an actor.
I started off as the Artful Dodger in Oliver when I was 12 and a half, 13. I played the part for 15 months. I've done a couple of televisions, made a not very good film. And, well, yeah, it was okay. And I was in Love for Love at the National Theatre.
But yeah, I was watching that last night and I was like, why is it so interesting to watch? I don't know, it doesn't feel the same as now, as an interview.
Whereas it'd be
now.
sat across with a billboard and there's at the side of them with whatever film it is that they're in, and having a laugh and a joke, and we'll play a little game.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no. With that, it felt like they've been forced to be there, and they kind of look for each other for answers. Like, oh, God,
yeah, she
what
didn't
do I
look
do?
comfortable.
No,
In fact,
not
he
at
didn't
all.
look. I didn't look
No.
comfortable with that.
No.
Interesting. I might give that a watch.
Honestly,
that interview.
Yeah, it's interesting to watch because they talk about, there's would you go back to theatre because you've done theatre and stuff like that. I said, yeah, I'd like to go back to theatre, but movie stars and film, theatre is very different, and movie stars, it's just weird the way they explain it, but it was interesting.
Cool.
Wonder what she looks like now. Rough, yeah. What was her name? Olivia Hussey.
That's what she looked like now. It didn't look too bad, actually.
I don't know, that one she looks like Ozzy Osbourne. Yeah, but I bet she's got the wrinkles. Well, she was smoking at 15.
Yeah,
wasn't
but
she?
I mean, she's not aged terribly.
Yeah, she was smoking at 15, wasn't she? That's them both. Looks nothing like him now, does it?
Oh my god, he looks completely different.
Doesn't he? So he's gone from looking like Zac Efron to like someone off Coronation Street.
Yeah.
He looks like Ian Beale. What a change that is. So Zac Efron, you're going to turn into Ian Beale when you're older, mate.
I mean, she's changed a lot, obviously, because she's older. But
age.
in that other one, her eyes looked kind of oriental. If you look at it.
Oh, there?
Yeah.
You mean when she was young?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think she's got like quite young eyes, hasn't she, man? When she was 15.
Her eyes quite closed, and then as she gets older, they've opened up.
Yeah, but on the videos or acting, she looks like her eyes are wide. So maybe she's stoned. You know what I mean? On the interview, that's why she doesn't know what she's doing.
That glass there looks like she's got a glass of martini there with some orange juice in it or something.
But there's another part in that interview where like they're both drinking, so he looks like he's drinking wine and she's drinking that little orange juice or whatever, and you just see him like he's finished with his drink, puts it in that. You see him talking to Olivia, and he just grabs her glass out of her hand, starts drinking it. You're like, you cheeky girl, you didn't even ask her.
Yeah.
But it's like that male over female dominance back then, wasn't it?
Yeah.
In 1968, it's like, I'm the male, you're the female, you give me your drink if I want it.
Yeah, yeah.
And you just accepted it. It's crazy.
Well,
crazy times. Well, that's everything I've got for now anyway. You got anything to say?
No.
What's that?
Nothing.
She older there. Well, that's all from us.
It
And
is.
if you want to email anything, I'm not giving you my number. Get in contact with us at contact@getfact.co. That's contact@getfact.co. And if you want to listen to all the podcasts from the past, go to our website, www.getfact.co. That's .co, not .com, just so you don't get confused. And that's all from us.
Certainly is.
And go and listen to some Blue Nation again. We're going to the festival to watch them live, which can't wait. We're watching them on the 27th of August.
In Colne in Manchester.
Yep, so if you want to come along and see Get Fatcast from the festival.
Well, we're hoping to be able to do a backstage chat with them for the show.
Well, I think that might be a bit cheeky, won't it? But
no.
Yeah, we'll open up our own stall, Get Fat. Pretend we're part at festival.
Get Fat live.
Yeah. We hope to see you all there. Get some tickets. £40 a ticket it is. Get yourself down there. Support Blue Nation. Well, that's all from us. You enjoyed it?
I did.
Yeah. Right, that's it.
Cheerio.
I'm done. Cheerio. Ciao.